All right, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Let's now shift gears and talk matters business. You're watching TV47 Breakfast if you're just joining us, and we'll be focusing this morning on future-proofing your business. How can you anticipate or risk, deal with that? How can you also recover debt? And in terms of survival, how can your business survive and ensure that you're not failing and going back down to the drawing board? This morning, I have in studio FCPA Francis Langat. Is a member, Public Finance and Tax Committee, ISPAC. He'll be walking us through this, what you need to do as a business owner to protect yourself from shocks and anything that might come with the changing times. Do interact with us through our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube on X. It's TV47 Digital. We are also live on Vibe 47. You can download it on Play Store or App Store so that you can follow this conversation live. Karibu sana FCPA to studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are doing fantastic.
Yes.
It's cold. I don't know how you're feeling it. The August.
It's cool. I can say it's cool.
It's cool. All right. I want us to start by breaking the jargon. You know, we are talking future-proofing business. Let's break it down for a viewer. What does that mean?
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you once again for having me.
Yeah.
Future-proofing is about having business to live to its intended periods in terms of sustainability. So it's about taking care of the risks that are inherent in business itself, and then of course any risks that are associated with the business environment. So which may not necessarily emanate from the business, but those are the push from the geo environment where that business operates, which are legal. They could be other dynamics. They could be tax matters. They could be other shocks that affect business from time to time.
Yes. And we'll be breaking that down as we continue this conversation, FCPA. But how would you describe the broader Kenyan business environment as at August 20, 2026? How would you describe that?
I can say Kenyan business environment has evolved over time. It has gone heavily technological. We've moved from environment of control, low control, to very highly regulated environments. Then, of course, the competition is very stiff, not necessarily from within. It also comes from abroad in terms of the same business entities operating elsewhere, competing with our local businesses. So businesses must be ready for those kind of challenges to be sustainable.
Across the board. So we are talking about anticipation or risk, and how businesses can navigate that, and how businesses can also recover that, and how they can thrive during survival mode, when they're in survival mode. I want us to start from the anticipation and navigation of risk. Talk to us about some of the red flags that, you know, businesses should be on the lookout for to prevent them from, you know, going down the drain in terms of when there is, you know, some sort of risk going on.
Okay, thank you very much. One of which business is a legal entity, so they must be on the right side of the regulatory environment. That is one. Secondly, they must be able to manage their cash flows very well. You can be making sales, but you are not making money in terms of the necessary cash flows for your day-to-day operations. Then thirdly, of course, is the competition. How can you beat the competition? Yes.
Expand on that part. You know, how can you deal with competitors in this case? Because they say that there's no monopoly of ideas, and I'm thinking about it business way. In a business way, you can come up with, you know, a beauty business, because they say that if you want to thrive in business, do something for women, because women, you know, they love taking care of themselves.
Beauty, correct.
So if you have a beauty business and I have a beauty business, and somebody else also has a beauty business, then how can we thrive in that case when there's a stiff competition like that?
Okay, one of the things that are very critical in business is what is your niche. What are you looking at in terms of what is your target group? And especially the young and the middle age would be under the beauty environment, would be the target group, because those are the people who are the consumers of that kind of service. Then, of course, what are the add-ons in your business that the other competitor may not be having? The additionals that you can receive in your business environment, the quality of your service in terms of how you are delivering it, accessibility. how are you marketing it? Are you on, you have gone technological in terms of marketing. Of course, you have to be top notch in terms of the face of the business. Then, of course, the persons behind the business who must have that kind of look that always puts the customer first. And that will make, then of course management generally, what are the internal control systems that you put in place to ensure that the business is able to protect itself from going under. The internal control systems are very critical. You manage your revenues, you manage your debts, you manage all the monies that accrue to it. Then, of course, from that, you can be able to beat the competition. Yes.
A question that has always been on my mind is in terms of competition when it's as stiff as we talk about it this morning. Is it safe to be the one who has a lower price when it comes to pricing the items that I'm selling? Say we are in the same place, then you're selling your product at 20,000 Kenyan shillings, and then I'm selling it at 15,000 Kenyan shillings. The other person is selling it at, say, even 22,000 or even the 20,000 that the two of my other business competitors are selling the product at. Is it safe for me to go lower?
Not necessarily. There is also what is it that I'm paying for the 22,000. I can go for the 22 because of the benefits that will accrue to me in terms of even convenience, the location, in terms of the service delivery from that kind of customer. So lowering, you must have a reason for lowering. You can do that, but for a short time because it may not be sustainable. But you must also look at the cost considerations that gets into that product, so that you must be pricing it favorably to get you moving in terms of getting profits from the engagement. Right. Yes.
I'd love for you to comment on businesses that depend mostly on imported goods, and at a time when there have been surprise excise duties on imported goods. Just how are businesses surviving and building supply chain in that case when there is a surprise, there is an excess duty on imported goods, something that they were not used to? Then how do they survive in that case?
Okay, taxes on imported goods is an enticement to producers to manufacture it locally. That is one of the reasons government impose excise duty and any other taxes on imported goods. The idea of importing goods as well, you must be very strategic on where you are sourcing your items from. That is one, so that the general cost of importation will not overrun the benefits that or the ability to sell the product, because if you import and you are not able to put it off the shelf, if it's a product, then of course it becomes dead stock, and that of course it will be one of the red flags, and it will make you not to thrive in business. So what businesses should do is, entirely when they are importing is do it in a manner that if they must import, because there are products that you can source locally. Of course, not all products can be found locally. So when you are importing, you must be importing in a manner that it gives you a competitive edge. Yes.
All right. And what can they do to also survive that sudden policy shift? Yes, they're importing it the way we are advising them to do so this morning, but how can they ensure that that survives even as they continue to import things that are giving them an edge? So what do they do about that to sustain that?
To sustain that. Yeah. Of course, what happens many a times is that the cost of the excise duty or any other tax for that matter is transferred to the customer. Then, of course, the product becomes more dearer, and then, of course, it may affect the level of the market. So what they need to do is maybe look at it even from their internal systems to ensure that they cost cut in terms of their management systems, so that they can be able to still sell the product competitively and still make their money. So you look internally, because you have no control over what taxes have been levied from the start point to all the way to your warehouse. You may not have much control, but on what you can cut within your business environment, you can be able to manage that so that you can have your cost that goes into that product are lessened in a manner. Yes.
Talk to us about how businesses should now be auditing their risk profiles in an environment that changes month to month. How is auditing done?
Looking at the point of starting your business enterprise, you must be able to be alive to what are the risks that are associated with that business environment. That is one. Then you keep a tap on each of those risks from time to time and see how they are becoming dynamic, how they are shifting, because risks always shift. And then of course, what are the mitigation measures that you put in place to ensure that you lower that risk? Could you go the insurance way? Could you have a power funding available to you as a business enterprise to be able to navigate around those shocks? Or are you saying you are setting aside that particular line of business to be able to sustain the business? So it takes various forms to be able to mitigate those shocks.
And
yes.
Looking at the current business environment, what would you say some of the mistakes that business people make in terms of navigation of risk when there are some shocks in the market? What would you say to that?
Okay, businesses have to really take good care of their cash flows. That is one. Making huge volumes of sales and you are not able to collect will affect your sustainability. So I would say you will collapse under your own weight. Then secondly is to continually scan the environment and see how shifting in terms of risks are occurring, and geopolitical risks which are coming from the external environment, and of course it affects our local businesses. The other aspect is for business to be technologically advanced in terms of the way they are making their placements, in terms of the products they do. They must have technology in the middle of what they do, and that is how they can be able to navigate around the environment of cost containment, as well as placing their products before the market in a cheaper manner. Yes.
When you talk about somebody is making huge sales and they're not being able to collect it, what does that mean? How can you make sales and not have something to show for what you have sold for your business? Yeah.
Revenue can be in two forms. One, someone has walked in and paid their cash, or they are paid upfront before you deliver the product or the service, or you have delivered the service or the product on credit. What that means is you have made a sale and you have made your revenue. It is recorded as a revenue you have earned. But cash flow has not moved into your business environment. So you'll be suffering from cash flow problems, but you have made huge sales. So that is where now the collection part comes in, that what is your credit policy as a business? Is it that you're giving people 30 days and pay, or you're just selling and not taking care of the cash flows coming in to the business? So that's very critical for sustainability.
Do you see businesses thriving past 2026 with, of course I see a lot of businesses, especially the SMEs, complaining about the high tax burden, and they're required to register their businesses and be tax compliant. Then do you see them thriving in the long run in this tough economic time?
Yes, I would say that. And I want to say business is about documenting what you do. In fact, for purposes of, I would say, management decisions, you must have records. So one of which also will boil down to your records will get to where you pay your fair share of tax. Then, of course, from developed economies, taxes are even probably worse than what we are facing. But we are saying document, and you will also get to know if you are making money. You can be engaged in an enterprise which you think is enterprise, but it's hobby kind of business where you just move a rocking chair, but you are not making any headway. Yes, so it's important that business keep their documentation right. Then, of course, even access to credit and stuff like that will be, easily accessible. Yes.
You mentioned something about, right now businesses should be leveraging on technology, but I'm thinking about people who are doing businesses in areas where internet access is quite a challenge. Then how do we also, bring them onto this train that has left, so that they're not left behind when you're talking about advancement of businesses through tech?
Okay, what I've seen even for small enterprises, they have gotten into the space of in WhatsApp, being on TikTok, placing themselves before the eyes of the potential customer, that they are known. Even dairy farmers have seen they are marketing their dairy farms so well, the products they do, the animals they sell, and all that from a very simple, in a very simple manner, but continually build on to that. And maybe what maybe going forward is to take advantage of the very trained human capital that Kenya has to support these small enterprises in a manner that, in an organized manner. I would say that because most of the enterprises are licensed under maybe the county government's licensing system and all that. If they can be put into organized groups, and they of course benefit from the advancement in terms of the training of the young people of Kenya, to train them on how best they can move from there, I think that will actually give them a benefit, and of course it will accrue to business. Yes.
And this is in terms of training them and how to use tech. But you know, the concern is people who don't have access to internet, as we do have in the major cities. Then does it mean that they're going to be left behind in terms of business? Does it mean that these areas will not, you know, thrive in terms of their businesses? What does that mean? I
think that should not be, and that's an opportunity itself to the companies that offer communication and technology services, that there are market niches that have not been accessed, and of course it will increase onto their revenue basket. So it is important that this advancement in terms of reach out should actually reach every part of this country, and we'll onboard everybody, and there will be that spiral effect in terms of even revenue accruing to government, revenue accruing to these businesses. So it is an encouragement and appeal that the technology companies who are offering communication services should also reach to these people. Yes.
So generally, just looking at it from somebody who, you know, sits at a finance table that is very, very consequential in the country, what do you think we should do collectively as a nation, and even the government, to make Kenya a very conducive environment for business people to thrive? Looking at, you know, what we've talked about, tax, you know, they're saying access to financing is also a problem in the country. So what can be done to make, you know, the business environment quite conducive for business people?
The first port of call would be the ease of engaging in business. Should be in a manner that everybody you make it very easy and cheap for enterprises to be onboarded. That is one. Two, any tax regime should administratively be easy to understand, easy to administer. Then of course that becomes sustainable for enterprise. Then secondly, government should make an enabling environment. Provision of water services, roads, electricity, and like the telecommunication you said, it will support the same enterprise. And I said about the spiral, the spiral effect, where when they make money and you are charging them the least in terms of tax, then of course the effect will be higher. So it should be looked at it holistically, and tap them to the foreign markets. You know, there is what we have, which is comparatively, Kenyans are better. We can be able to make them access the foreign markets, and they'll be able to grow as enterprise. Yes.
Talk to us about, or say something about, you know, they say that some businesses, when they're starting, they're not able to get to the 5th birthday, right? Is it the 3rd birthday, or is it the 5th birthday? Say something about that, and what leads to that, you know, 1st birthday, 2nd birthday, and then something happens there in between, and then the business just dies.
That goes under. That is the Simon Makonde story, and it is very unfortunate for enterprise to take the route of Simon Makonde. This is the learning curve. You know, in enterprise there's also the learning curve, and engaging in business every time, you must be prepared in terms of what is it you are likely to face going forward. And that preparedness starts from at the point of hatching the business plan. So you develop the business plan, look at what are the likely shocks that you are going to face. And unfortunately, without that preparedness of risk mitigation, what are the motions that the business should get into for it to sustain itself going forward, then of course it will be very, very unfortunate that it dies in the 3rd, in the 4th, the 5th year, that kind of thing. There should be support system in terms of legislative access to credit, that they can be able to access credit in a manner that it will be sustainable. You know, interest is one of the biggest killer, and it may not merge with the cash flows we were talking about. You're supposed to pay your loan, but your cash flows are not matching up, and then of course they're auctioned and that kind of stuff, and they go under. So it should be holistically looked at from inception, then of course the legal environment, then the support system going forward in progressing the business. Yes.
So from where you sit, what do you think the other options that exist in terms of credit financing for business people? When we talk about, you know, now interest rates being higher, especially when they're looking for the banks, you know, to give them credit, then what other options exist, especially for small business people who find it quite hard to access loans?
What I've seen and what we hear every day in our environments is the informal loaning systems within the same entrepreneurs themselves, as MSMEs, where they get organized, they pool capital, and they loan themselves. That is the cheapest way of accessing credit because they determine how much they'll charge themselves. That is a very good start point. And if it can be strengthened and supported, become more structured, then of course that becomes, then of course the government systems where you talk about the loans that are open to small enterprises to access, that would be useful. Then of course the circles, then you roll over to the bank. So in that order you can be able to access credit as you grow, because going to mainstream banking, especially for very small enterprises, and they are not very sure of their cash flows, they may pose a bit of a challenge to them. Yes.
Is it guaranteed that once a business, you know, moves past the fifth birthday, then that business is going to thrive regardless?
It is not that a guarantee. What happens is that we've seen businesses that were thriving, and there were shocks of the 2020 regarding the COVID-19, and many businesses never came back. So they were not prepared for such kind of shocks, that kind of preparedness. So businesses should be prepared beyond the 5 years. They should be prepared, and they keep on ring fencing their sustainability as they progress. Yes.
So the question of what businesses can use to track and, you know, focus operational risk, you know, without hiring an expensive consultant for that, what do they need to do?
There is access to support system within our environments from a technical person who can be able to evaluate your internal control systems. Very basic, very basic. If
and
you are
affordable.
Very affordable. Look at, you want to open a hotel? How do you manage your supplies? How do you manage the food you cook and reaching the table without pilferages in between? Because you can be producing a lot and buying, but it's not accruing to being revenue because your internal control system is not working. So you get someone to look at it, and then of course integrate it into your plan so that you can have systems that are supporting you to thrive as business. Then of course, what are the funding requirements going forward? From time to time, what will be your requirements? So that must be very clear from the onset, so that that enterprise can be sustainable. And that is easily available. If they look around, then they should be able to find two accountants around themselves. They can be able to help them and do even the record keeping. You know, one of the biggest challenges is basic record keeping. You don't know what is costing you to do the business. You don't know how much you are earning. Yes.
At what stage in the business should this be done? You know, this risk assessment and auditing of you know, the risk operations. At what stage? Is it the first year, second year, third year, or the fifth year?
From the onset, you must be aware of the challenges you are likely to face so that you are prepared for it. Then continually, because controls are so dynamic, you must keep on continually relooking at them periodically and getting that advisory so that you can be able to operate in a manner that at least is sustainable and it protects value of your enterprise. Yes.
Is there a significant difference between record keeping and bookkeeping?
The difference is the same, I would say.
One
You
and
know,
the same
bookkeeping, you know, you can keep your records in terms of, you know, when you talk about bookkeeping, it's more of accounting.
Yes.
So, but of course, that is a record. So the difference is the same, but in technical context, and then of course, you would say bookkeeping is more accounting in nature, but then the registers we may keep for ordinary records.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if it's so important, you know, to keep your records, you know, as we put it this morning, then why are businesses not doing so? What are the, you know, cons for that? Because when we talk about pros, there are also cons. So why aren't businesses doing that?
I think it's not about the cons, it's about the knowledge and the benefits that accrue from doing this, lack of knowledge.
Okay.
If they can be inducted very well in a structured manner, just collect the maybe similar businesses, talk to them on one afternoon, induct them on what they need to do, they may do better.
Yes.
Yes.
And this applies to all businesses, whether you're selling mboga, whether you're whatever it is.
Irrespective.
You know, how can now small businesses differentiate from, you know, a temporary market dip and a businesses that is now shifting? You know, the consumer demand is shifting. Consumers don't want this product anymore, and you know, this market is no longer working. How can we differentiate the two?
A dip in the market, you must be prepared as an enterprise to sustain that, and it is common knowledge from the onset that at some point in time, the market may go down for one reason or the other. But where people don't want to consume anymore a product, then of course you must be prepared as an enterprise that you keep on scanning and seeing the movements in terms of what is coming on board. How do you fit into that space so that you are not left behind with the old product and people have moved on? Yes.
Let's talk about you know, recovery of debt as a business person, and there's always the concern of how do I do this without burning that bridge with my very good customer that I've had for years. How do I go about that without burning bridges?
Business in engaging with their customers must from the onset make their position very clear that I'm giving you the service, but please let me get paid in 30 days so that I can be able to serve you better the next time round. That so their service offering should be very clear. What is it that you are doing? What is it? What is the credit policy? And then of course you must have very good public relations or customer relations face, so that your customers take you very seriously. They feel honored. So if you can be able to keep that relationship and as well as follow up in a manner that is not very oppressive, using that sparingly, that you are pushing them in a manner that they feel they are not respected, you don't feel that they are part of your sustainability, then of course that creates a bit of a challenge. So you must have a very positive image in terms of engagement with your customers. Yes.
And I'm thinking about it when it gets to a point where this debt has now overstayed. We're talking maybe 5 years, even 10 years. Then how do I recover that debt really? Now aggressively without also harassing them. And I'm looking at a point where they also tell me that they're having problems with their cash flows as well. Then my business is also struggling. I want my money. So how do I do that?
In fact, we shouldn't allow situations of debt getting beyond reasonable time. You know, anything going beyond 6 months, let's say if it's 30 days, if it's gone beyond 6 months, it creates 5 years now. You know, that is where now you get into debt recovery. It gets to a court process, which is very expensive. So we shouldn't allow from the beginning that debt gets into those periods, that duration of time, which becomes very expensive to recover. So debt collectors, you get to legal situations and all that kind of thing, and it may really pull down your own enterprise as you chase. So it is like sending good money after bad money. It can be very, very costly. Yes.
Sending good money after bad money?
After bad money.
What does that mean?
Meaning you are spending more money chasing what is already almost getting bad. Yes.
At what point should I now involve this, you know, debt collectors to help me get back this debt from my client?
it must be a policy from the beginning that and make it known to your customers. If you say any debt that gets into maybe 6 months, it has not been paid, going to a year, then that is when I'll roll it over to a debt collector. Then of course make it to your customers that I'm giving you, and then if it gets to this, then I'll have to engage a debt collector. From that, they'll be already aligning and getting to know that things will go south if we don't pay. Yes.
You know, sometimes we are told that do not give out something that you're not ready to lose in terms of money. That if you ask for 10,000 Kenyan shillings from me and I feel like I'm not ready to let that go, then I should not be giving you that 10,000 Kenyan shillings. Does that apply to businesses as well? That if you are, you know, taking something from me, so that it doesn't look like a debt that I'll be following up, you know, years or months on, then I should not be giving you something that I'm not ready to lose.
Excellent. That is true. You must have a credit policy with each and every customer. Your credit portfolio should be different from somebody else. I know your capability, that you can be able to pay. If it gets to 500,000, you can still pay. Someone else, if it gets to 100,000, they'll be in dire straits to be able to service that debt. So I'll have a policy which is, I will say, segregative in nature, that it looks at the customer at the personal level. Then of course you get enforce the same, that you tell the customer you're getting to overshooting your credit limit, your limit was this and that is what was agreed, now start paying. Then of course you must have a policy in terms of what portfolio of my sales must be in cash, because you'll need that cash to be able to get your supplies to continue rendering that kind of service. So you must be very clear from the onset on some of those parameters, otherwise it can really get bad. You'll be selling, but you are not able to get back your money. Right.
So what should businesses do now? I'm assuming I'm a business owner. What should I do to prevent that bad debt, quote unquote, from, you know, accumulating? Should you come back and then I give you something else that you need while you still owe me? What happened?
I mentioned about the credit policy, which is known to the customer.
Yeah.
It's known to the customer that you are sealing. I'll be selling to you, but the moment the credit ceiling gets 100,000, you must pay the 100,000 before I continue servicing. Providing you service or product or selling you the product. So once it is clear and it's made known to the customer, then of course what that means is it is on a mutual understanding without straining the business relationship you have with your customers. So you'll be very clear from the onset, and everyone in the company should know, or in the enterprise should know, that there are these limits for this and that customer, and it's documented. And if possible, have a system that is able to control that when you want to make a sale on credit to a particular customer, the red flag is always coming out that you are already hitting the credit limit for this customer and they have not paid. And then of course it engages the next part of follow-up within the system. So internal control systems that are self-checking, kind of, yes.
I want us to talk about, you know, KRA compliance and the tax strategies. How can we make it in a way that, you know, is also just favorable to the SMEs as well? And how would you also describe that sort of environment when talking about tax compliance from these small businesses?
Okay, there has been a move by our tax authority to make administration of taxes a bit reasonable, a bit easy for enterprise to be able to, especially the small enterprises, that you are required to file one return and that is it for you.
Yeah.
You don't have the convoluted system of filing of taxes, and it puts administrative cost of running taxes becomes very high at the business level. So what is important, and as you mentioned, is about small enterprise, is have your documentation straight. But that is very basic. I think that is the bare minimum. Have your documentation straight in terms of record keeping, the records now you are talking about. And if possible, your bookkeeping. If you can be able to do the bookkeeping part, then it becomes very easy to file those returns, because it will be one-stop shop. From your records, it dovetails to or connects directly to the tax authorities' records. And you can just get into the iTax system and be able to file your returns and pay. And you know, initially people used to walk to the banking halls to make those returns. These days you pay through your M-Pesa, whatever system, but from your office you are able to file your returns and you are done with it. So it is about educating on how to navigate around that, and then enterprise should not be scared on the technicalities of filing those returns. Yes.
Are you seeing a trend where now every small business owner is now tax compliant, or are they still afraid? Where really are the gaps?
I think it is the notion that if you get into the tax system, if you reveal your information, then of course so much will be taken. Of course, it's very clear. It is known to everyone that what is your fair share of tax that you need to pay. And from there, it's about just getting your documentation correct so that the benefits will accrue to enterprises that keep their records. And of course, it's a cost to pay tax. But if your documentation, the benefits, the other attendant benefits will come to it in terms of even accessing credit, because your records you can be able to table before a structured record to a bank and be able to access credit, which will of course spur growth of that enterprise. So it is important as they do their motions, be able to keep their records straight and in a very simple manner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it possible to negotiate, a tax compliance with KRA, for example? You see, for example, they tell us that if I'm moving into a new house right now, they tell us, you can negotiate for rent, right? That I could tell my landlord that, this rent is 50,000 Kenyan shillings. Can I pay 40,000 Kenyan shillings? So I'm thinking, is it possible for these small businesses to negotiate for that with KRA to prevent, a full-scale tax audit?
That is open and available. What happens is if your tax liability, say, is 20,000 and you can afford to be paying 2,000, and the monthly what is due to the KRA going forward, then that is provided for. That one is available, and the enterprise should be able to get guidance from the tax authority, that is Kenya Revenue Authority, and they'll be guided on how best they can be able to navigate around that. What I can say from where I sit is the human face has really gotten into the system, where people would say, using the word being chased around, we don't see them anymore. It is the human face is coming in, and they can be able to engage the tax authority in a manner that is of mutual benefits to the two parties. Yes.
Yeah. Is it a safer option for, say, a struggling business, for example, to take out a commercial loan to pay maybe a tax debt, for example?
We don't use struggling and loan in the same sentence. If you are struggling already, you are on dire straits, and it would be very unfortunate to get into. It is like sinking more. You are digging as you are already in a hole. So the best way is how can you be able to get an injection of funds for your enterprise to rise up. But if you get into a loan, an expensive loan, then of course you are signing your own death certificate. So it will be a very, very, very very tough and for business to survive. So that planning from the beginning, do you have any funds that was set aside to sustain, to have as an injection of new capital to sustain your enterprise? And what is the exit strategy from your situation? Yes, one of which will not be a loan at that point in time. But if you can be able to access cheap loan, and you can know you are very clear on your returns going forward, then of course you can take that route. But of course, the risk could be very high. I
want you to expound on that point, FCPA, because you're saying, struggling and loan cannot be in the same sentence. But I'm thinking about it. When is the right time for, a business person to take out a loan? Is it when they're starting? Is it when the business, is hitting dead ends? Is it when the business is doing quite well? Really, when is the time? Because I'm thinking, if my business is doing well, what do I need a loan for? If I'm starting, I'm sure I had already put some money on the side for that particular business. That the only time somebody would need a loan is when there's some sort of struggles. Is that a myth? Or when is the right time?
You will be escalating your risk. That is one factor that needs to be taken, put into, thought about very wisely. Because what happens is, if you are struggling and you want to enhance, it will be more of a leakage and in a very short time. And if your cash flows will not be merging
Yeah.
the leakage in repayment of the loan, then of course the situation will worsen. But if you have negotiated in a manner that your repayment will be in a manner that it gives you a bit of moratorium in terms of the time, so that you are able to be back on your feet and be able to make money make revenues, then your cash flows improve and you're able to service your loan, then that will be it. Of course, banks as well will do their assessment of risk, and they'll charge you a loan very highly. So you see now the risk will be escalating as you move. So it is not one of the best times. But you asked about when is it best to take. If you are starting and your business plan is well crafted out, then of course you can be able to pick up on your loan, be able to run with it, follow through the plan. You know, the unfortunate bit is we move and we get so more fast as we progress with business, and it collapses under its own weight. But follow through the business plan. You revise according to changes in business and business environment going forward. Keep on revising, keeping abreast of the external environment and that kind of stuff. Then you can be able to inject loans from time to time. That will be sustainable. Yes.
We've talked about anticipation and navigation of risk, debt recovery, and now I want us to focus on survival. When a business gets to a point where it's strictly in survival mode, then where should the focus be to try and keep that business alive?
One of the things that you need to consider when you're on survival mode, don't expand your enterprise. Don't expand. Sustain it in terms of make sales, collect. And then, of course, where you can cut in terms of cost, do as much as you can. But don't expand. It is until you are able to land the business, getting it up running, that is when you can now diversify probably, or expand to new fronts in the same enterprise, but new fronts. So survival mode is about sustain as much as you can, what you are doing, be able to make sales, be able to collect, and then of course manage your cash flows very, very well, that they are able to meet your requirements as they fall due. Yes.
For a business with, of course, a number of employees and, there's financial hardship and the business is surviving as we're talking about it, then how do they communicate that, to their employees that, something is happening and without causing mass panic or, if affecting the productivity in the business? How do they communicate that?
I think one of the things that you do upfront before even get to a situation of bringing employees to a boardroom and speaking to them on the challenges that the enterprise is going through is getting them very involved in much of the things that happen. Of course, there is the leadership of every enterprise, and there are those top leaders. They must be involved, aside that from their own small units within the enterprise, they are able to manage their staff. But when it gets to that, where you have to communicate, is make them feel important that they are able to contribute to the turnaround of the enterprise, and what is it that they must do, or what is it that you are doing as a leadership to ensure that the business is sustained, as well as also sustaining them, because also the sustainability is two-way. The enterprise is thriving as you are sustaining the staff who are within that enterprise. So they should feel that the sustainability of the enterprise means their lifeline. So if you can be able to bring to onboarding that into their hearts and minds, and then what is it that you want them to do to contribute to the success of the enterprise or bringing it back on rail, then of course that should be very clear. Yes.
Shouldn't they be laid off if the business is just surviving?
I think that would be the last option, because normally it is a risk in itself. It's a risk in itself if you can be, but if it becomes the last, the only option, then of course it must be done with a human face in it, because we know what that can do, because they can go to the competition and be able, because they also know how you have been able to survive. If they can be able to work against your enterprise, then the effect will be big. So do it in a manner that is structured, do it in a manner that has a human face in it, do it in a manner that you look at sustainability either way. You can lose them and then lose the business as well. Yes.
We have some questions coming in for you, FCPA, and Esther from Mary is asking, what can Kenyan businesses do today to remain competitive over the next decade? In
Kenyan businesses within ourselves, as well as maybe looking at it against the competition from abroad, one is let's have our niche. In whatever we do, let's be the best at it. So that when you have your enterprise out here, it can compete internally or even externally. So get to understand, have your niche. And having a niche means you understand what you do, you are perfect at it, you're very good at it, you're able to place it before the potential customers and those you have already attained, and they appreciate what you do or what you offer. And that is one. Then two, of course, is managing everything that relates to enterprise in terms of management of your information. What is it that you must know? What is it that you must have in terms of record keeping? What are the reactions that you need to do going forward? Because enterprise is about reacting at the right time, in the right way. So if you are able to react and tap into a business that nobody has ever imagined, then you are top of it, or you are on top of it. So that kind of thing is very critical, and you keep on scanning, and improving on your offering. Yes.
All right, let's take more questions from the public. This is Michael from Kisii. How can technology help businesses improve debt recovery? Tech and debt recovery. And debt recovery.
Technology, I mentioned about your record keeping, use technology to be able to, so that you have information. Information is power. So have information on what is the debt situation of your customers. What are their ceilings? The system should be able, or your technology that you have deployed should be able to tell you that this customer is tending towards the red. It's on amber, it's heading towards the red. Then you are able to act accordingly. Then on the other part is for marketing purposes, because you want to have your product, your service known to the people in a manner that they are able to, identify with it. And then, of course, it creates consumption. So that is very critical. Use technology to place yourself all over. The way we see billboards, but use technology, it can be accessed better.
All right. Yeah. Lillian from Nakuru is asking, what should a business owner do when banks and suppliers are demanding payment?
Engage. I would say engage.
You can negotiate.
Negotiate and renegotiate. If it was a loan, renegotiate. They can lower your repayment and elongate the repayment period. And it will be for the good of both sides. There'll be no bad debt. There's no collapse business. So engage.
Great.
Yes.
There's other comments here. Collins from Bungoma, what is the biggest mistake businesses make when dealing with debt?
I think that dealing with debt is how you approach it. How you approach it. If you want to rush to the courts as the first port of call, then of course that you are creating an extra cost, unnecessary cost. Use better ways of collecting, and we go back and say, engage your customers, engage them, get into a repayment plan. What is it, the payment plan? And then of course keep a tap on how they are servicing it. Yes.
We talked about do not harass as well.
Please, I've said, do not harass.
All right. Dennis from Nakuru is asking, how can SMEs survive if political campaigns disrupt normal business operations? This is a very good one. How can SMEs survive if political campaigns disrupt normal business operations?
It's unfortunate that our politics get into affecting the livelihoods of our people. It's very unfortunate. And we endeavor to tell anyone that if you are engaged in the political space, let us consider the livelihoods of the people who are out here trying to eke a living, literally eking a living. So what is important is that the political space should not be so toxic to the extent that it affects lives, it affects livelihoods, it disrupts generally. So what we call upon is just on priority. Yes.
I think the last question now is almost closely related to that. And Joy from Nakuru is saying, what should businesses do if political violence threatens their premises or workers?
That is a tough one because there is no prescription, because it comes in all manner of shapes and color. This kind of political unrest, and I wouldn't prescribe, but best is just remain safe, scan about what are the likely outcomes of situations like that, and be able to action your enterprise in a manner that it protects and preserves itself.
All right, I cut you short? Sorry.
No. Protects and preserve itself, including protecting and preserving lives.
Right.
Yes.
And FCA, if we can only just implement, one piece of advice from this discussion, and for business people who are watching this morning, what should that be?
Be on top of what you do in terms of knowledge and information, then leverage on technology. Yes.
All right, leverage on technology. That's the parting shot. Tech is here with us. We should all jump into that bandwagon. That is FCPA Francis Langat, Member Public Finance and Tax Committee, ISPAC, talking to us about future-proofing business. We've talked about risk anticipation and navigation. I was almost saying anticipation. Recovery of debt, and of course, operational survival, how to deal with that. That brings us to the end of this segment today. Coming up next is a Men Talk, and what they're talking about is women. The man you love is also healing. What do you say to that? Dear women, the man you love may be healing too.
The money?
The man you love,
yes,
may be healing too.
All right. So, you know what that means is suffering is either way.
Yeah.
So you must have a middle ground and be able to have the common healing.
All of us are healing. Do you think women understand that?
Yes, but it is being looked at from both sides.
Yes.
And I think it works. It applies. Yes.
All right. That is the conversation that is coming up next with Freddie, alongside three great gentlemen, to discuss women. The man you love may be healing too. My name is Annie Odida. Keep interacting with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. Or next, it's TV47 Digital. We're also live on Vibe 47. That's an app on Play Store and App Store. Good morning.